You have been sleepwalking, not metaphorically. Literally operating on autopilot while your one impossible, unrepeatable life runs in the background like a tab you forgot to close. This video is the moment you finally look at the screen. Here's a number your brain cannot process. 1 in 10 to the power of 2,600,000. That is a rough scientific estimate, not a metaphor, an actual calculation, of the probability that you, specifically, exist right now as a conscious human being. Your brain hears that and does nothing, because it wasn't built to feel large numbers. It was built to feel stories, which is exactly why 2,500 years before modern probability theory existed, the Buddha already had a better tool than mathematics. He had a turtle and an ocean and a ring. And in about 60 seconds, I'm going to show you why that image, that specific ancient image, is more likely to permanently change how you spend your days than any productivity system, any motivational framework, or any self-help book published in the last 50 years. Not because it's inspiring, because it's a precise, well-aimed psychological shock, delivered with the accuracy of someone who had thought about the human condition for a very long time. Pay attention. Now, before we go deeper into the parable, you need to understand who was telling it and why that matters, because the Buddha was not a monk who had always been a monk. Siddhartha Gautama was born into a world designed to protect him from discomfort. A prince. His father, according to the traditional accounts preserved in Buddhist texts, had been told by a court advisor that his son would either become a great king or a great spiritual teacher. And his father, being a king, had a strong preference for the first option, so he built a life around Siddhartha that contained only pleasure, only beauty, only ease, no sickness, no old age, no death, no evidence that any of those things existed at all. It worked. For years, it worked. Until the day Siddhartha rode outside the palace walls and encountered, for the first time in his sheltered life, what Buddhist tradition calls the four sights: an old man, a sick man, a corpse, and a wandering monk who seemed impossibly at peace. And something in Siddhartha cracked open, not because the suffering was new to the world, but because it was new to him. And he realized, standing there on that road, that he had been living inside a beautiful lie, comfortable, well-fed, surrounded by people who loved him, and completely, dangerously asleep. He left that night, not out of despair, out of urgency. He spent years in the wilderness. He studied under teachers. He pushed his body to its absolute limits. Near starvation, extreme austerity, the full catalog of spiritual disciplines available in 5th century BC India. And then he sat down under a tree and stayed there until something broke through. What broke through is what matters for us today. Because after his awakening, after years of seeking, the first thing the Buddha did was sit with a small group of students and try to hand them the most important thing he'd found. Not a technique, not a practice, not a breathing exercise, an image. He asked them to imagine a vast ocean, not a sea, an ocean, boundless, the kind of scale that makes the word large feel embarrassing. In that ocean, he said, there is a blind turtle. It lives deep beneath the surface. Once every 100 years, it rises and breaks the surface for a single breath. And floating somewhere on that ocean is a wooden ring, a yoke, small enough that the turtle could pass its head through it. He paused, then he asked, how often would the turtle surface? Directly through the ring. His students understood immediately that the answer was almost never, not rarely, not occasionally, almost never. The ocean is vast. The turtle surfaces once a century. The ring drifts unpredictably. The variables are so stacked against alignment that you could run the scenario for billions of years and count the successes on one hand. The Buddha nodded, and then he said, and this is the line that should stop you cold, that the odds of being born as a human being, in a form capable of conscious choice, of waking up, of spiritual development, are even smaller than the turtle finding the ring. This is documented in the Chigala Sutta, Samyutta Nikaya 56.48. It's not a paraphrase, it's not a loose interpretation. This is the recorded teaching. And before you dismiss this as ancient poetry, consider what modern science says about the same question. Philosophers and scientists who have attempted to calculate the raw probability of your specific existence, your parents meeting, their parents meeting, every ancestor in your line surviving long enough to reproduce, every genetic combination landing exactly as it did across hundreds of thousands of years of human history, arrive at numbers that are functionally indistinguishable from zero. Dr. Ali Benazir, a Harvard-trained physician who attempted this calculation, described the odds as so small that the number itself becomes meaningless to the human brain. He compared it to a specific atom being selected at random from the entire observable universe, 2 million times in a row, and landing on the same atom each time. The Buddha didn't have access to genetics, he didn't have population statistics, he didn't have a calculator, but he had the turtle. And the turtle was enough, because the image does what the number cannot. It makes you feel the scale. When you picture that ocean, when you actually hold the image, something registers that no statistic can reach. Your body understands vastness in a way your analytical mind doesn't. The turtle trying to find that ring and failing for centuries, for millennia, that is you, before you were you. Now here is where the parable turns from philosophy into something personal, because the Buddha didn't tell this story to make his monks feel lucky. That would be too soft, too comfortable, too easy to nod at, and then go back to sleep. He told it because he had a specific diagnosis of the human condition, and the turtle was the cure. The diagnosis: humans suffer primarily because we operate under a quiet, unexamined assumption that we have infinite time, that tomorrow is guaranteed, that we can postpone the meaningful thing until we feel more ready, more settled, more certain. We treat our days like they're cheap, like they're abundant, like there's a vast, reliable supply of them waiting behind today, and we can afford to spend this one on whatever requires the least from us. Psychologists call this temporal discounting, the tendency to undervalue future consequences and overvalue immediate comfort. But the Buddha's version is sharper than that. He wasn't just saying we discount the future, he was saying we have forgotten completely what it cost just to get here. Think about what it means to be the turtle that found the ring. You won a lottery that wasn't even a lottery. Because lotteries have fixed odds and someone always wins eventually. This was more like a lottery where the ticket might never be drawn, where the game might run for an eternity and come up empty. And yet, here you are, conscious, reading, capable of feeling boredom, ambition, regret, love, and the specific low-grade dissatisfaction of a Tuesday afternoon that isn't going the way you wanted. And the capacity to be dissatisfied is itself the miracle, because dissatisfaction requires awareness, and awareness is the ring. The monks who heard this parable understood something that we, in our overstimulated, always online, never quite present era, have almost entirely lost. That apathy is not neutral. Apathy is not resting. Apathy is not taking it easy. Apathy is the turtle surfacing through the ring and not noticing. So let me ask you directly, what is the thing you keep postponing because today isn't quite the right day? Not the big abstract dream, though that counts too. The smaller thing, the conversation you keep meaning to have. The work you know matters but keep replacing with work that feels urgent. The version of yourself you keep saying you'll become once the conditions are slightly better. The conditions will not be slightly better. The ocean doesn't owe you a calmer surface. The ring is drifting right now. The monks who sat with this teaching didn't walk away motivated in the way we use that word today. They didn't feel pumped up. They didn't feel like they'd been given a productivity hack. They felt something closer to awe, and underneath the awe, something that functions like a quiet terror. The terror of wasting the ring, not the terror of failure, not the fear of judgment, the specific, sober dread of arriving at the end of the one surfacing you get, and realizing you spent most of it underwater, waiting for a better moment to rise. That terror, in the right dose, is not a negative thing. It is the most clarifying feeling available to a human being. Here's what I want to leave with you. Not an action plan, not a list of habits, something smaller and harder than that. Before you scroll to the next thing, right now in this moment, I want you to notice something. You are breathing. Your body is doing something extraordinarily complex just to keep you conscious for these seconds. The neurons firing as you process these words represent a chain of improbable events going back further than you can trace. You surfaced against every odd, across every generation, through every near miss your ancestral line ever had. You surfaced. The only question the Buddha was ever really asking is this: now that you're up here, what are you going to do with the air? If something in this landed, hit the like. Subscribe if you want to keep going deeper. But first, just sit with that question for a minute. Don't scroll yet. The ring is right here.